Hello everyone, my name is Izzy and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I thought I would properly introduce myself because I thought it was about time, now that I've posted a couple videos on this channel, about time for you guys to properly learn who I was, what I like, why I started this channel, all those sorts of things. So I've got a list of questions that I thought I would answer. So to start off with, I thought I would just briefly introduce myself. So my name is Izzy, short for Isabel. I am 18 years old. I'm on my gap year. I finished my A-levels in the summer and I'm going to uni next September. So I've got a year before I go. I'm mainly working, well, I work full time, and in January I'm going travelling with my best friend for hopefully around 4 months to Southeast Asia. So I'm kind of just working, killing time until then. I'm going to study history and politics at university. I think that's kind of the main introduction I'd give. Why did you start this channel? So I started this channel because I've always loved making videos. I would make videos just for my own personal pleasure and edit them and post them privately on a channel. I love putting them together and I just thought, why not give it a shot? I've always loved YouTube and I've always loved reading, and although I do harass my friends with talks about books, I thought it would be nice to find some people who enjoy it just as much as me, who read the same books as me, who want to talk about all things books, and I get to film videos. And also there's no time like the present. I'm on my gap year. I have the time to do it, as much time as I'm ever gonna have. So I thought, why not start this channel, see how it goes, just for a bit of fun, nothing too serious. And then here we are. When did you start reading? So I have loved reading ever since I learnt how to read. Always loved reading. I don't read all that consistently. I've always described myself as a book person. I was on Original Book Talk in like 2020, 2021. Actually, part of the reason I started this channel is because I want to be more consistent with how often I read, dedicate more time to it, prioritise it a bit more, so I can read more books, because I always set these goals, not even particularly high goals. Like my goal this year is just to read 25 books, which is, it should be attainable, but for some reason it's always quite difficult for me to reach the goals, because I'll go through waves of reading lots of books to not reading so many books. So I would like to read more consistently, prioritise it a bit more, and if I have this channel, then that's a bit more motivation, because I can't have a booktube channel if I don't have any books to talk about. I've been reading since I was young, but more recently I've wanted to dedicate a bit more time to reading. Why do you love reading? I think this is going to be a pretty generic answer, but I just love the escapism of it, particularly since my favourite genres, which I'll get to later, is fantasy. That's one of my favourites. It's just so nice to escape into a world that's so far away from this one. I just love how magical it is. I also don't really consume that much other type of media. Like, I'm awful at watching TV shows. I'll start them and no matter how much I like the TV show, I will just stop watching it at some point. And I'm really bad with movies as well. I just can't concentrate for that long. My attention span is so short. I think TikTok has ruined my attention span for everything, literally, apart from reading. I can read for hours and it's just nice getting lost in a story. I just love it. Always have, always will. There's always going to be a book you want to read and there's always going to be a book you like. What are you most excited for about this new channel? As I kind of already said, I'm excited to meet people who like reading. I'm excited to film the videos. As I've already said, I love making videos. It'll be fun to make videos that other people hopefully want to watch. I'm excited to read more books. I feel like despite the fact that I love reading, I haven't read many books. And I also feel like I haven't read a lot of the popular ones. So I'm excited to have the motivation and the time to read some of the more popular books, and hopefully, as I say, meet people who also like reading and like the same books as I do and can introduce me to new books. What book or series got you into reading? This is going to be a pretty generic answer as well. I think Harry Potter was the series that got me into reading. I read them with my mum when I was little, and then after that I was just kind of away. I struggled to find series until I was a little bit older, or books or series that kind of hit the same way or was as good. But now that I'm a bit older, there are so many books and series that fill the same spot that Harry Potter filled, but nothing will ever compare. Harry Potter is still one of my favourite series. I actually reread it 2 years ago over my GCSE summer, not like summer, but over the GCSE kind of exam period. I was reading Harry Potter the whole time, and I do want to reread it, but when I think of how many books I read in a year, dedicating 7 of them to Harry Potter when I read it 2 years ago just doesn't feel like the smartest decision. That's why there's so many books I want to reread, because I know I love them, but when I don't read that many books, I feel like it's a bit of a waste when I could be reading new books that I could equally love. What kind of books do you like to read? So my 2 favourite genres are fantasy. I love a fantasy with some romance, so fantasy with the subgenre of romantasy, and historical fiction. As I said, I'm studying history and politics at university, so that kind of figures, but I love a historical fiction. I've read them ever since I was little. If anyone's ever heard of When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit, I remember reading that when I was probably 8, 9 or 10. Where do you read? So I like to read in my bed or downstairs in my sitting room. They're probably my 2 favourite places. I kind of like quiet when I read. Like in a cafe can be too loud. It has to be comfy, you know. Who is your favourite author? I'm gonna have to say Sarah J Maas, purely because she wrote The Throne of Glass, which is another one of my favourite series. I read it all last year. I finished it this year. The first book of this year was Kingdom of Ash. So I'm gonna have to say her. And obviously she also has ACOTAR, which I loved at the time. I don't love like as much as I love Throne of Glass, but that was a really good series. I haven't read Crescent City. If I'm completely honest, I'm a bit intimidated by the size of the books, but I do want to get around to it so I can say I've read all of her works. So yeah, Sarah J Maas. What bookish tropes do you love / hate? So my favourite trope is probably enemies to lovers, but only if it's done well and only if it's done in a fantasy with a slow burn. I don't like when they're enemies to lovers and they become lovers within 2 chapters. You know, it needs to be done well. A bookish trope I hate, I wouldn't say there's any in particular that I absolutely hate, although I hate books that feel like they're throwing in the tropes just to like mark a checklist and get people reading it. Does that make sense? If it doesn't feel natural, if the trope doesn't naturally flow, I hate it. Like I don't like feeling like it's just popped in there just to get a tick. It needs to be smoothly done. So I don't hate any in particular, but I hate when they're too forced. So that's kind of all of the books about my reading taste. I have a couple of questions about this channel. What kind of videos will you post? I mainly plan on posting book videos. So within that, reading vlogs. I really enjoyed making my alchemized reading vlog that I posted last on this channel. Book recommendations. I really want to do a 24-hour readathon. I just don't know when I'd have the time with my schedule at work, but that would be so fun. Book reviews, TBR videos, reading wrap-ups, kind of your classic book videos. And then I also will occasionally post lifestyle videos. It's not going to be my main focus, but as I say, I just love filming things. I love documenting things. So if I'm naturally documenting something anyway, I might post it. So there might be the occasional day in my life, weekend vlog. If I do go on a trip anywhere, vlog that, things like that. How often will I post? I plan on posting twice a week. I'm aiming to post on a Wednesday and a Sunday. If a video needs to be delayed, I will, but I will still aim to post twice a week. What kind of vibe do you want your channel to have? So as with kind of any booktube channel, I would just like mine to be kind of a bit of a cozy channel. I just want my channel to have a cozy vibe. Everyone just have a nice time. So that's all my questions done. To finish off, I just have a couple this or that questions. These might be a bit telling of who I am, so please don't judge too harshly. Firstly, paperback or hardback. I'm a paperback girl through and through. I don't like hardback. It just makes the book heavier, makes you feel like you're holding a brick. Believe me, I was struggling when I was reading Alchemized because that was 1,000 pages and hardback, but I prefer paperback. New book smell or old book smell? I love the smell of a new book over an old book, I think. Annotate your books or keep them in pristine condition? I prefer to keep my books in pristine conditions. That being said, I do believe in breaking the spine of a book. I don't like how it looks, but it makes reading them so much easier when they like lay flat. So I don't keep them in all that pristine of a condition, but I've not yet come around to writing in my books or highlighting. I have started tabbing. I tabbed Alchemized, but I still couldn't bring myself to write in it. In my head, I would love to be kind of an annotator. I just don't really have many interesting thoughts or like funny thoughts. I would highlight. It would make sense to highlight where I put my tabs. That's about as far as I'd probably go. Standalone or series? Series, 100%. Just means the plot can be so much more detailed because they have longer over which to describe it, you know. Borrow or buy? I am an advocate for using the library, so I would say borrow. I do like buying books. I would like to have a big library, so I'm also 50% for buy. I hate when you buy a book and it's not actually that good, so then you've wasted your money. But then also I hate when you borrow a book and it's really good and then you have to buy the book even though you've already read it. So you're not buying it to read it, but you want to have it on your bookshelf. So I don't know, I'm 50% on that one. I think I'm gonna say buy, but I'm a big advocate for borrowing. Fiction or non-fiction? I think I've already kind of said I'm a fiction girl. Kindle or physical? So I actually got a Kindle for my 18th birthday. I got it a couple months ago and I actually really liked it. I love the fact, oh my gosh, you can download fan fiction. This is really exposing the type of books I read. You can like download fan fiction and you can transfer it to your Kindle, so then you're reading, like it actually feels like you're reading a book. And also it's so much lighter and you can carry it with you a lot easier. It's going to be a big help when I go travelling. That's one of the big things. I really wanted a Kindle for when I go travelling because then I don't have to bring any books with me. But again, if you buy physical books or read physical books, it's so much nicer like holding a book. You can also see how far through you are, which gives you motivation, and also you can put it on your physical bookshelf. So I'm going to say physical. Morning or night reading? Night reading, 100%. Nothing better than getting home and just being able to sit and cozy up and read for the whole evening. Fast reader or slow savourer? I'm a slow reader, I would say, but I'm a fast reader when it comes to like reading books I really like. Like I can't savour the book and read it slowly. Like I want to get through it if I'm enjoying it. So I'd say fast reader. TBR or mood reader? I would say I'm more of a mood reader. I'm trying to become a bit more of a TBR reader. That's why I made my TBR jar. But I would say I'm a mood reader. Plot driven or character driven? I want to say plot driven. Enemies to lovers or friends to lovers? Enemies to lovers, I've already said. Favourite trope. Love triangle or one true pairing? One true pairing. I feel like love triangles is too risky because there's a 50% chance you could be rooting for the part of the triangle that doesn't make it to the end. You could be rooting for the character that doesn't get chosen in the long run. Cliffhanger or happy ending? I would say happy ending. I like everything wrapped up. I find it a bit annoying if you don't get all the answers you want and you're left wondering. Fantasy or contemporary? Fantasy. Romance or mystery? I'm gonna say mystery. That being said, maybe I just haven't read the best romances. Maybe I judged the romance genre too quickly because I read Just for the Summer and Happy Place right after I finished the Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn tandem read. So all I wanted to do was read Kingdom of Ash. So maybe I kind of did myself a bit dirty. Maybe I need to give it more chance. But I'm not also that much of a mystery lover. That one's undecided. My heart leans to romance because I do like a romance. just needs to be done right. Bookstore or library? Bookstore. Waterstones is one of my favourite places on earth. I'm not being funny. Dust jacket on or off while reading? I'm a dust jacket off girl. If not, it just slides everywhere and it's just annoying, and then it bends because you're like putting it, like the ends are like, oh no, dust jacket off. And finally, reading with music or in silence. I'm a reading in silence kind of girl. I like reading in silence. I find it quite distracting having music on. Like, I can't listen to ambient music. Even I love putting on the ambience videos on my TV while I'm reading. You know, the ones where you're in like a castle, like a rainy day or something like that. But I like rain sounds, but I don't like music. Like, it can't be jazz music and rain sounds, because I just can't focus. It needs to be silent. And that is the end of all of my questions. I hope you've got to know me a bit better in this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in my next video, hopefully on Wednesday if I upload on time. And yeah, see you in my next one.